It was the summer of 2001, and I was setting off on a 7-hour train journey to visit friends in Cornwall. I was 17 and travelling alone, but soon befriended a bunch of lads that boarded the train with a huge crate of beers. Cheerful and underage, we cruised through the countryside, drinking ourselves stupid. The day before this, I had been to see the doctor. I had just gone for a checkup, and he said I had nothing to worry about. After taking a sample of blood for testing, he sent me away with a clean bill of health for my holidays. 6 hours into the journey, the lads and I were frustratedly kicked off the train, wrongly accused of making a mess by another passenger. We were trying to figure out where we were when my dad called and said, "I'm driving down to Cornwall, your doctor rang, apparently you're a diabetic." And I replied, "No Dad, I'm drunk and stranded somewhere in Bodmin." That night my dad found me and we went to the local clinic to get me checked out. When the nurse tested my blood sugar, she swore under her breath. The level of glucose was at 43 millimoles per litre. I was on the verge of a diabetic coma, and so it was time to go to A&E. Looking back at the lead up to this discovery, there were actually plenty of telltale signs. I had recently lost quite a bit of weight, and had become really lazy, not bothering to do anything but watch TV. My mum thought that this was just me being a stereotypical lazy teenager. Although lazy, I had been working in a hotel kitchen to earn a few quid for my holiday. It was hot work and I was drinking lots of water. The chef there nicknamed me Diane, as in Diabetic, because of my fluid intake and the fact that I was always going to the loo. We laughed it off at the time, and I never saw him again after my attempted holiday, so I never did get the chance to tell him he was right. These symptoms are known as the 4 T's, the visible signs that you are heading for diabetic town. Keep an eye out for them. Before I was diagnosed, I knew nothing about these signs, and nothing about diabetes whatsoever. And nowadays, when I tell people I'm a diabetic, the majority have no clue what it actually is. I started to understand what it was from the doctors and nurses I met in hospital. They told me that normally, the hormone insulin is produced in the pancreas, and glucose enters the stomach in sugary foods like sweets and cakes, and from carbohydrates like bread and potatoes. The insulin carefully regulates how much glucose is in your blood, and then stimulates cells all over your body to absorb enough glucose to provide them with energy. But apparently, my pancreas had stopped producing insulin. I was a type 1 diabetic, which meant my immune system had decided to turn against the insulin-making cells in my pancreas and destroy them. Just to be clear, there is also type 2 diabetes, which is quite different. Generally, people over the age of 40 are at risk of developing this condition, but nowadays it is far more commonplace in young people due to the rise in obesity. Type 2 means either your pancreas cells do not make enough insulin, or your body cells do not react to it properly. For me, as a new type 1, I actually found it kind of novel. I liked the challenge, it was a bit like a game. This could be worse, I thought, and so I just started getting on with it. For all diabetics, blood sugar can either go high or low for various reasons. Hyperglycemia, high sugars, is a result of not enough insulin for the amount of glucose intake, which results in the 4 T's. Hypoglycemia, on the other hand, is when your blood sugar levels drop below normal, which can happen from having too much insulin or if you burn up all your energy exercising. Low sugars are treated with, well, what many would regard as the best type of medicine: sugar. When you have a hypo, things can get pretty weird. You sweat, your speech slurs, it's hard to concentrate, and your mood can change, resulting in you talking absolute rubbish. Sometimes you want to hide it from people because you can feel embarrassed and you don't want to cause a fuss. Sometimes it happens in the middle of the night, so you get up and force a banana in your face, standing there in your pants. Hypos unfortunately happen now and again, so it's important to be aware of the signs and eat some sugar.
You were very nearly in trouble then, weren't you?
Yes, but I did remember to take the sugar.
After a few months of being a diabetic, the novelty of this new venture had worn off. Test my sugars as often as possible, carefully think about what I eat, inject myself 4 times a day. The realisation that I would never get a day off from this started to feel pretty daunting, and I was finding it tricky to get it right all the time, which was frustrating. It was also stressful thinking about the complications I was told that bad diabetes management can lead to. Strokes, heart disease, blindness, feet amputations. These are scary things, so I thought I'd do a bit of research online. The internet, at the time, mainly presented everything I was scared about in a more terrifying way. Alarming information about when diabetes goes bad, and paranoid people blogging about the miserable life they are condemned to.
Call 1-800-DIABETES for your free survival guide.
Eventually, I met a very understanding diabetic specialist nurse, who made me feel far more confident about a life with diabetes. Worrying about what might happen is never going to help, she said. Stress can actually cause your blood sugar to go high. When you get a high reading, don't beat yourself up. Just ask, why is it high, and what can I do next time? She told me about the glycemic index, how to do correctional doses, and explained that my diabetes management is personal to me. After hearing all this, I felt a lot less stressed. My control improved, and if I got it wrong now and again, it was alright. In the long run, I thought, being a diabetic might actually be good for me. Nowadays, I still enjoy a beer, and rarely do I turn down a slice of cake, but I've made a habit of exercising regularly and eating less fatty and sugary foods. Basically, I probably live a healthier life than I would have done. The human body is always doing thousands of amazing things that we all take for granted. One of those things stopped working for me, but fortunately, with modern medicine and a bit of common sense, I can live a normal life. If, like me, you're a diabetic, then I hope it has helped to hear my story. And I also hope that you're not afraid to live your life just like anyone else.